Hey everyone, it's Chappell, your favorite Facebook advertiser here, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about how to target higher quality audiences. And by the way, y'all passed the 9,000 subscriber mark. Y'all are absolutely awesome. Thank you so much for subscribing from that last video. It truly does mean a lot, and it does help the algorithm. We're going to be covering 3 different buckets for high quality audiences. One being interest, lookalikes, number 2, and then number 3, which is retargeting. So let's go ahead and get into the video. Alright, so the first thing we're going to be covering is interest, and some of these audiences we're going to be looking at are more luxury audiences where if you're selling a product that's over $50, $100, or even $1,000, these types of audiences could work. But what you're doing here is essentially looking for audience types where people actually might have the money to actually make the purchase, or even if they're interested in these types of audiences, it means that they're more inclined to buy. So for example, Cartier, which is an audience where if we go and search this on Google, we can automatically see that they're selling items at $6,900, $3,300 here, another one at $1,000 here. And that pretty much tells us that, you know, anybody who's purchasing these items or interested in them are definitely more affluent than others, or they're aspiring to be, which, you know, still results in more people wanting to actually convert, because most people who actually might not even have the money to afford these, they still end up purchasing them anyways, believe it or not, because that gives them, you know, a higher lift in actually converting. So that's really good for us because we can actually target these audiences to get some sales. So essentially what you want to do is go find these types of audiences and then find ones that are similar. So let's say you're selling, you know, an item in the jewelry space. This would be perfect to target. And then you would actually look at other audiences like Pandora. We could look at this one, and, you know, they even have Pandora bracelets here at $2,000, and then, you know, more in a range of $95, $99, $225, but that's still higher than most items that people are purchasing online. So therefore, this could be a really good audience to target. And as you can see, targeting these types of audiences have resulted in a 13x, 36x, and 19 purchases here. Now, if we're to look at lookalikes, here's what we're going to end up finding. You don't want to just go after your basic lookalike audiences. Now, after iOS 14 has happened, you know, lookalike audiences aren't as effective because you need a lot of data for them to be successful, and lookalikes don't have as much data whenever, you know, people are opting out and you have a lot of people in a very basic lookalike. So what I mean by that is you want to target more advanced audiences, such as time spent 10%. And essentially a time spent 10% is an audience where somebody has visited your site and has spent, you know, enough time on there where they're in the top 10% of people who've spent the most time on your site. This could mean that they were browsing, really interested in your products, and ended up making a purchase. So targeting these types of quality audiences are more sophisticated, they're a little bit more advanced, and they give you a much better result overall. So essentially how you would create this audience is you would go to all tools, you would end up selecting the actual audience category by scrolling down, opening up your audiences, you would select create audience, custom audience, and you would hit website, next. Then you would actually select the drop down visitors by time spent, and then you would choose the top 10 percentile. You could also do top 25% to test that as well. And this audience is going to allow you to target people who are in that top 10%, which is really good. So essentially we could choose last 30 days or 60 days. We do 60 days to get a little bit more people in there, so that way you have some more data to work with. And then essentially you would just name it visitors by time spent, top 10%, and then you would just name the actual date range, and then you would just hit create audience on that custom one, and essentially you would then create the lookalike after that custom audience. Select the 10%, choose your region, and then you would select 1% because we want to look like 1% of people who are most related to this specific audience we're wanting to target. Then we'd essentially hit create audience, and we'd be able to actually target that audience specifically in our ads manager. And then the next audience you can end up testing out is a page view 30-day, but taking it a step further by asking for a frequency 2. That essentially means anybody who's viewed more than 2 pages. A lot of times people will do like a lookalike of page views, but, you know, most people don't even load a website, or they'll load the website, stay on one page, but never even go to a second one. So we want to, you know, actually target people who've actually visited more than 2 pages. That makes them more qualified. If they're clicking around on your site, going to different pages, or if they land on your homepage, go to a product page and then go to add to cart, or if they land on your product page, then add to cart, and check out, that's more than the 2 pages they have to visit. So therefore, they're more qualified automatically. So these types of audiences are really good to target as well. And then the other one is a view content frequency too. That essentially means that they visited, more than 2 products or looked at more than 2 products on your actual site. So that's also another really good audience to target. And overall, these audiences had 87 purchases at a 9x ROAS, which is, pretty incredible. So you definitely want to end up, looking at ways you can make your lookalikes more advanced. And then finally, we get to retargeting. Now, these retargeting audiences aren't all the audiences you want to target. These are just 2 that can be more qualified than others. Your purchase 180 day is essentially a purchase audience of people who've purchased from you before. Most people don't target this audience, and believe it or not, it's one of the best audiences we see all the time. And essentially that means that anybody who's purchased on your site is more inclined to purchase again. They're already a customer, and it's so much easier to get a customer to make that second purchase than it is to get them to make the first. And the benefit to this is they might not just be buying for themselves a second time, but they might be buying for a family member, a friend, a brother, or a spouse, or anyone. And that's really good because now you have somebody that's already liking your product and now wants to buy it for someone else, or they quite frankly might be buying it again for themselves, which is super awesome and can actually lift your overall return on ad spend across your account, which is really nice. The second audience is anybody who's engaged with an actual ad or visited your website within the last 30 days. Now, this is important for that time frame because you want to be relevant as possible. And within a 30-day time frame, if somebody's commented, liked, saved your Instagram post, or visited your website, you definitely want to stay in front of them because they haven't yet converted. So therefore, it's good to really retarget those audiences to get the sales. And this has resulted in 55 purchases overall with this, and averaging a 10 and 7x ROAS, which is super awesome. So try using some of these audiences yourselves to see if you can actually get some results. And if you really did like this video, please do like and subscribe. It does mean a lot, and it truly does help the algorithm and helps this channel grow. If you haven't already, you should definitely sign up for Surge.io beta. It's an ad tracking software for Facebook that's going to allow you to accurately attribute results between your Facebook ad campaigns and the actual website where you're getting the purchases, so you know which audiences and ads are actually producing your results.